muss halt auch automatisch bleiben, weil ich drehe jetzt zwischendurch voll in die Sonne. Ja, dreht das Ding schon. Zwei.
Yes, I can. Hello, hello, hello.
Here it's always the same, Outside Naples, it's always the same. It's just some more colored water. Well, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series as we return from the summer break and join you live from Autodrom Most here in the beautiful countryside in the northwest of Czechia. It's the third time that we've visited this circuit with rounds in both 2019 and 2021. As both the EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2 divisions will get underway for their respective qualifying sessions very shortly. It might come as a bit of a relief to the drivers that the clouds are out today. We won't be having the scorching temperatures that we saw last time out a couple months ago at Vallelunga, but instead it's relatively cool. Highs of just 21 degrees forecast for today, but unlike last year, we shouldn't get any rain this weekend. I think let's take a look at what the drivers have to tackle this weekend then. Autodrom Most, the circuit just 4.2 kilometers or just over 2.5 miles long, depending on your units of choice. And as you'll see very shortly, a whopping 21 corners for the drivers to make their way around. Easily the most number of corners that we'll see on a circuit this season in EuroNASCAR. Very sharp chicane at turns 1 and 2, a great overtaking opportunity, especially in the first couple of laps of a race, as we'll see them make their way through the very tight and twisty, very technical first sector, all the way up towards turn number 10, right at the very far left side of your screen. Now, then they'll make their way through some sweepers, turns 11 and 12, before a couple of fairly sharp and fairly fast corners towards the end of the circuit. A little bit of a slow section at 16 and 17 before the final two corners, turns 20 and 21. Turn 20 can be a good overtaking opportunity for the drivers as well, especially nearer towards the end of the race when the tyres aren't quite up to their usual standards. Well, like I said, we are getting underway with qualifying fairly shortly. We are sharing the circuit this weekend with the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. They had a red flag in their previous session, so we have a little bit of time to kill as they finish up there. And we're going to head down to Andre in the pit lane. He's got a couple of drivers to speak with.
Thank you so much, Dane. Yeah, I'm here with Christian Malczarek, driver of the 24 PK Sport Chevrolet Camaro. How is it to race here at Autodrom Most?
It's almost my home race, you know, so it's great to be part of this series, and even more when you are at home. It's just a few kilometers away, so I hope it will be the good one.
It's a very fast track, but also technical track. What are the key points to be fast here?
The key points for me, for example, we check the data brakes. The line is okay, the exit is okay, just I'm losing all the speed and all the time in the brakes, so I have to learn how to brake the car. With the car, not brake the car, I hope.
What's your goal for qualifying?
I hope at least top 10, and if I put the whole up that with the sectors, I hope for P5.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations and have good luck here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Driver in the number 24, of course, sharing the car with Alon Day, leading the championship in EuroNASCAR Pro Division. The drivers do share the cars, and that is a big feature in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2, the two different divisions we'll be seeing on track this weekend. They do share the cars, so each car can have two drivers in it. One driver will do EuroNASCAR Pro, one driver will do EuroNASCAR 2, and some drivers are crazy enough to do both in the same weekend. They will have a lot of driving to do over the course of the weekend. It can get pretty challenging for them, especially in the later stages of Sunday as the fatigue starts to catch up with them. But yeah, some fantastic opportunities for the drivers out there. It does mean that keeping the car on the circuit and in one piece is absolutely vital, because it's not just your weekend that you might be causing some trouble for. It's also the driver sharing your car for the other division as well. Let's take a look at what's happened previously in EuroNASCAR Pro, who will be up first in qualifying this season so far. We started off the campaign in Valencia in the EuroNASCAR Grand Prix of Spain, where we saw quite a lot of action early on in the campaign before making our way towards Brands Hatch for rounds 3 and 4 in the UK, and then ending off the first half of the season at Vallelunga for the NASCAR Grand Prix of Italy. And the NASCAR Grand Prix of the Czech Republic, rounds 7 and 8 of EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2 this weekend as well. We can see now race number 1 of the campaign started off side by side there between the 56 of Nicola Rocca and Alexander Graf as well. Nicola Rocca ending up taking that victory. Then side by side for most of race number 2 of the championship between Alon Day and Gianmarco Ercole, before Alon Day would end up taking the victory, the first of his campaign, before taking a second very swiftly in round number 3 as well, breaking the all-time record for race wins at Brands Hatch. Race number 2 went very similarly, but this contact here took both of these drivers mostly out of contention for that race victory. Alon getting a penalty for that move as well, and eventually that race win would fall to a couple of the other drivers as they all battled their way through. Alon Day serving that penalty there. Round number 5, Vallelunga. Plenty of drama throughout this round at the NASCAR Grand Prix of Italy. Closely fought battle between the home driver of Gianmarco Ercole and Alon Day, as you can see here side by side for much of the first portions of the race. Plenty of drama at this round of the championship. Quite a few safety car procedures as well. A couple of red flags are thrown in for good measure. 54 going off eventually. little bit of damage being caused throughout the race, and that allowed Alonde to extend his margin and take his third race victory of the championship. It didn't quite go to plan for the Israeli driver in the 6th round of the championship, the second at Vallelunga. Gianmarco Ercole taking the victory in front of his home crowd as well. The very excited number 54 driver taking his first win of the championship there as well. Championship, you can see there, Alonde does lead by just 12 points actually at the top of the championship standings, but more impressively, the drivers between 2nd and 5th position all separated by just a single point. 2 drivers on 187, 2 drivers on 186. As we reach towards the second half of the championship, the drop round will come into effect. So from the championship, only the top 10 results, sorry, the top 8 results from the first 10 rounds will be counted towards the championship, plus the season finale. Looks like we've got another driver out there, another person out there, sorry, with Andre.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm here with Mr. Martin Koloc, team boss of the Bugura ZM racing team. This is going to be your first home race at your home track in a NASCAR car.
Yes, it will be. It will be. We are really looking forward.
How does it feel to be here in the NASCAR team with all the people back at the grandstand, thousands of people watching here at your home track?
Actually, we have a busy weekend because our team is racing here with trucks. NASCAR, our NASCAR team is here, and another of our team is racing in Poland. So we have a really busy weekend. It will be beautiful. The weather is good, all prepared. I hope everybody will enjoy it, and we'll have a good enjoying with good result with us.
Right. Thank you so much, and enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
As we still await the beginning of the qualifying session here, you can see the trucks in the FIA Euro Truck Racing Championship still out there on the circuit. And as we speak, as soon as their session is over, we'll get underway for EuroNASCAR Pros qualifying. Let's take a look at the weekend format because it is a little bit different to what we've seen in the past in previous seasons. Qualifying will first be for EuroNASCAR Pro. They will have a 15-minute qualifying session with all the drivers and then a 5-minute Super Pole session for the fastest, just to increase their lap times ever so slightly. We're back down at the pit lane with Andre.
Lemery, you won here in 2001 in the European Le Mans Series in an LMP car. That's right, Ro?
Yeah, that's right. And I did the pole position as well, so I hope it's the same today.
How was the car in free practice?
It was okay. We are top 5, so I think we're in a good shape for quali. It's going to be hard to catch Alan, but I think we're in pretty good shape.
So you're a veteran at that track. Where is the key point? Where can you do the overtaking?
At my time, there was no first chicane, so it was easier to overtake in the straight line. But I think there's a lot of places because it's quite a tricky track, and you can be at a good in a high-speed corner, or you can be good in a slow corner. So I'm sure it will be a lot of different setup for the race. And I'm sure there will be a lot of places to overtake.
Right. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yep, the turns 1 and 2 chicane used to be very, very different back in 2001 when Lemery won in the European Le Mans Series as well, and as he said, their pole position that time out as well. 20 years on, we'll see how he fares in the NASCAR machinery with that first chicane added as well. It usually does make for some pretty action-packed race starts, as we saw last season as well. And here is that weekend format too. You've got the Pro qualifying and then the Pro Super Pole, 15 minutes and 5 minutes respectively. We'll find out who is going to start today's race on pole position. And then a 20-minute qualifying session will follow very shortly for EuroNASCAR 2 as well. Later on today, we'll have one race from each of the EuroNASCAR divisions. 75 kilometers for EuroNASCAR Pro and 60 kilometers for EuroNASCAR 2. And then the fastest laps for the drivers from each of those races will set the grid for race 2 tomorrow. Another driver down on the pit lane with Andre.
Thank you so much, Dane. Yes, I'm here with Alina Leubneger from Austria. You did the track presentation yesterday. Did you enjoy that?
Yes, I really enjoyed it. I'm really thankful for this because Most is one of my favorite tracks here. and I like it really.
Why?
I don't know, maybe it's a high-speed track, yeah, it makes a lot of fun. You have to be brave and to stay focused, and yeah.
What's your goal for the EuroNASCAR 2 race today?
Yeah, the lady trophies, of course. So the car feels really good, and I'm looking forward to the race.
All right, thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you.
Yep, of course. Many divisions within the divisions in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. It's not just one whole championship for EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2. You've got the Junior Trophy as well, the Lady Trophy for the female drivers out there too, which we've got quite a few of them out in force in EuroNASCAR 2 as well. As we see the broadcast schedule for this weekend in particular, qualifying at the moment, and then just a little bit later on today, EuroNASCAR Pro, and then quite a bit later on today, EuroNASCAR 2. They're starting that session at about 5:30 or just after 5:30 local time. And then tomorrow we'll see race number 2 for EuroNASCAR 2, followed by race number 2 for EuroNASCAR Pro after that. Let's have a look at the points championship. We'll do that just after Andre speaks with another driver.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm here with the Finnish driver Tuomas Pöntinen here today. Are you still a little bit annoyed that you didn't grab the win last time when Liam Hasemans had the penalty and you could have made it into the gap to win the race?
Yeah, maybe. I lifted too much last race, but let's hope that we can do it today.
How was the free practice? Is the car set up well?
Yeah, setup is well. We used old tires and hopefully we can use the new ones right.
Last question. We saw Kimi Räikkönen doing the NASCAR Cup race at Watkins Glen. Did you watch it or did you follow what Kimi Räikkönen did in the US?
Yeah, of course.
All right, thank you so much. That's Kimi Räikkönen answer here. So we go back to Dane.
Classic Kimi answer there. Absolutely straight to the point. But yeah, Kimi Räikkönen doing a pretty decent job as well in that NASCAR Cup Series race over in the States at Watkins Glen. Eventually did end up getting thrown into the wall with a bit of contact during that race, but was a very impressive debut in the Cup Series for Kimi Räikkönen there, of course, F1 World Champion from 2007. Here are the EuroNASCAR Pro point standings then after 6 rounds of the championship so far. Halfway point, as I said earlier, 12-point lead for Alonde on 199 points, but then 1 point separates Nicola Rocca in second, Martin de Beek in third, Alexander Graf in fourth, and Giorgio Macchi in fifth position. Just 1 point separating all of those drivers. You've got to go a little bit further back for Roman Iannetta in sixth position, Frederic Gabillon, Gianmarco Ercoli, Sebastian Bleekemolen, and Henry Tuomala as well in your top 10. But still very, very closely fought up near the front. The top 5 drivers separated by 13 points. A very easily surmountable gap in just one race here with the point system used in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series as well. So definitely keep your eye out on all of the drivers this weekend, as any one of them really could end up leading the championship after today's events. We had the drivers' parade out earlier on in the city. Earlier on in the week, loads of drivers out in force and loads of fans coming out to see all of the machinery on offer as well. A lot of them gathering around the number 7 machine. That is, of course, Martin de Beek, home driver, the Czech driver. So plenty of fans making their way to have a word with the home favourite. He's also going to be doing double duty this weekend as well, driving in both EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2, so plenty of seat time for Martin this weekend. A couple other drivers doing that as well. Nicolo Gabossi, Leonardo Colavita, let's see, Yevgen Sokolovsky also doing double duty, and Liam Hasemans as well, once again doing double duty. Did so in Vallelunga as well, getting plenty of seat time in the number 50 machine, the Dutch driver. as thinking back to yesterday's practice sessions, 2 30-minute practice sessions for each category. So most drivers getting about an hour on the circuit. Anyone doing double duty getting about 2 hours as well. So getting a little bit of extra practice time too. And think about Liam Hazeman's as well. Had a bit of an off in practice yesterday. Completely okay for the driver. The car, a little bit less so. The team doing repairs quite late into the evening. But they are optimistic that that car is ready to go for today. We'll head back down to the pit lane now with Andre.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm here with Vladimiros Tsotis, EuroNASCAR 2 title contender. It's all about you versus the rookies. What does it take to beat Alberto Nasca, Liam Hazeman? Is it about utilizing your experience, or do you need to find more pace?
I think we have to be more lucky. We saw it in Vallelunga also. After leading the race, 9 laps before the end, the engine decided to break down. Valencia. Anyway, it's a past, it's a new beginning now. We showed the pace. I am ready for today. Such a nice track, nice to see all those people coming here this weekend. Technical track that even a small mistake can cost you a lot. Even the braking points like we saw last years. You have to be very, very careful each lap to manage your tires, but I am ready.
We saw a lot of drivers enjoying summer break, but when we took a look at your social media pages, you were so busy in your home country promoting your racing career in NASCAR, right?
Yeah, because in Cyprus we are a small island, so you know we have only the rally. So now the people know what is EuroNASCAR, and they all the time I receive phone calls to come and join me. So it's really nice, yes, and I thank them a lot because they stand next to me. You know, coming from a small island that you don't have the possibility to test with the car in the island, and you have to go abroad every time. It's of course difficult. So this support is very important for me.
Thank you so much, and good luck in qualifying.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely one of the championship contenders in EuroNASCAR 2. But yeah, just unfortunately having those engine problems in the second race at Vallelunga, and that actually caused a whole bunch of dramas. A lot of drivers just behind grouped up and all sorts of overtakes, and a little bit of contact being made as well following that engine failure and unfortunate retirement for Vladimiros there. EuroNASCAR 2, we've actually seen a very familiar face winning in Most in EuroNASCAR 2. In 2019, Giorgio Maggi winning, of course, now driving in EuroNASCAR Pro in the number 18 machine. We will have a look and see how he fares this weekend. Having braking issues apparently in practice, so we'll see what he can do in qualifying. But we're going to go back down to Andre in the pit lane.
Sorry, I have a funny idea.
As he looks like he's ready now, and Andre's down in the pit lane.
Yes, and I think this is a new face on the EuroNASCAR broadcast, and I think we do it like this. Introduce yourself to the people, please.
Hello, I am Kasparas Vingilis. I'm from Lithuania, and I'm part of this year's EuroNASCAR EN2 grid.
All right, free practice in the books. Your first time here at Most?
Yes, it's basically my first time at most of the tracks this season, and it's definitely been very challenging, but so far I'm very happy with my pace considering it's my first time here.
Wrestling those V8 monsters, we have a H-pattern gear shift, pure V8 power. How is it compared to other racing cars?
It definitely makes things a lot more interesting. There's no ABS, no traction control. You have to make sure you do everything yourself perfectly. There's no electronics doing anything for you at all. So it really puts the driver to the test, and any mistakes are quickly punished.
All right, thank you so much and have fun today.
Thank you.
All right, I think we stay here, and because we have the next driver here, Jill Insta. Jill, come before we start with the qualifying, so we can get you in here as well. So we have now Jill Insta here, the Luxembourgish driver. You're a veteran here. We have a lot of rookies in the EuroNASCAR too. How important is experience to be fast at tracks like this?
That depends on what you mean with experience. It's actually my second time. Last year was my first time, but I was not able to run this many laps last year. But so, yeah. I'm a veteran in NASCAR, but for this track, I think I go with the rookies.
You go with the rookies, but
yeah, it's not better for me, but I can say that I have a lot of experience on this track.
But having the experience with the cars and know how they handle, is it then easier to set up the car, find the right setup and the right line and the braking points?
Yeah, for sure. I think if you are once used to those cars, you have just to adapt and have the right people in my team to talk to. We have a very strong elite pro driver, and so yeah, me and Nicolo, we talk a lot about setting the car, and with his experience, I learn a lot.
With Nicolo, you said it, you set up the car together because you're sharing it. Is it more finding a compromise between your driving styles, or are they so similar that you have a good setup for both of you?
That's quite similar, and for me, I'm still in the position that I say when Nicolo has something that he really wants to change to make the car faster, I want to adapt my driving style because I know that I don't have this much experience, and so he always makes the right moves, so I still trust him and follow his ideas.
What about your goals here this weekend?
Top 5 would be perfect. We had a very good second practice, free practice yesterday, so yeah, top 5 must be possible.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Every pro driver's dream to have in their car alongside them. You can make whatever setup changes you want, and I'll just adapt myself. So Nicola Rocca sharing the car, that number 56 machine. Nicola Rocca doing a pretty decent job in EuroNASCAR Pro as well. Seems like we are nearly ready to go for EuroNASCAR Pro's qualifying session. Looks like the drivers are starting to get themselves sorted, as it will be a 15-minute session and then a 5-minute Super Pole. As a reminder, we're back down in the pit lane with Andre once again.
Yes, we talked to a very experienced driver with Gilles Linster, but now we have another rookie in the EuroNASCAR too, Paul Giffreau. You came from the regularity test, the club challenge, then you made the step into EuroNASCAR 2, and you're doing well this season. Are you satisfied with your results so far?
Yeah, the only reason of that is Luca Lasser, because you know he's so experienced in NASCAR and he just learned me all what he knows. So you know, when I'm driving, I'm just learning a lot, and then we do recap, and I'm learning a lot outside the car too. So this is just improving. So I'm not as fast as I want now, but I'm working so hard to be where I want. So yeah, I just want to improve, and I'm driving to improve myself for now.
I know every dream and every race driver's goal is to win a race, of course, but and the championship. But what is the realistic goal you set for yourself this weekend?
This weekend it's just about learning. This will be the same for all the season for me, because this season I didn't play the championship. Next year we will see, and yeah, I'm just preparing myself to the next year. And yeah, I would just want to take the maximum experience that I can take, and yeah, I want to make mistakes to understand why I've made this mistake. I just want to drive a lot, to learn a lot.
All right, thank you so much. So we know that you have a long-term commitment to EuroNASCAR. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Good luck.
See you.
Yep, looking like he wants to have a seat next season, that's for sure. He'll be driving in the number 33 machine, and of course, just looking for some experience out there on the circuit. It is a circuit that is tricky to learn. Obviously, you've got 21 corners that the drivers have to learn. So just the hour that they get in practice, definitely not an easy circuit to get a hang of. Quite a bit of elevation change as well, especially heading up down through the first sector and just heading out of the first sector into the second sector. Quite a lot of ups and downs around this circuit as well. We go back down to the pit lane now with Andre.
Thank you so much. Another Speedhouse driver, Matthias Hauer from Germany. No, we don't speak in German here today. We stay in English, okay? Yesterday, I saw you doing more rallycross than NASCAR racing at the other side of the track. How hard is it to keep those monsters at the track here at Most?
Well, you have a lot of traction on the rear, and if you just go a little bit too much on the curbs, the car immediately goes to the side, and then you're off.
But did you find a good setup and a good rhythm for the qualifying and race?
Yes. We worked on the car very lot, and I think we're good prepared for the quali and for the race, but yesterday I didn't even have one free lap, so I only know the sector times, I don't know the time at all.
Okay, the rallycross thing was just a joke, so you were just pushing and finding the limits. What is your goal today?
Well, I hope to come much further than in the past. The sector times show that it's possible to come in the top 10, but it's not easy in the field because there's a lot of fighting, and it will be hard on this track, and we'll see a lot of yellow faces, I guess.
All right, then good luck and have fun, and see you later.
See you.
Dankeschön.
Couldn't help but get a little bit of German in there at the end, Andre. But we will go and just have a little bit of a chat about practice yesterday, because yeah, we did see a lot of drivers having small offs, and then a couple of drivers having some fairly big ones as well. But definitely the drivers struggling to keep the car on the circuit. Very, very powerful NASCAR machinery that they've got to try and keep around this circuit, and definitely not the easiest circuit to keep a car around. We've got quite big curbs here as well at Autodrom Most, so not easy for the drivers to keep the car stable over those either, especially with completely pure racing in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Very little in terms of driver aids, if any. And we finally have got some cars out onto the circuit. So qualifying is a go in the EuroNASCAR Pro Division, as we see the drivers make their way out onto the circuit now. Through the first couple of corners in the chicane, and now down through the sweeper of turn 4, in towards the first really tricky part of the circuit. It's a right-left, right-left sequence of turns 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Before heading into the hairpin at turn 10. That's going to bunch the field up quite a lot in the first couple of laps of the race, and they make their way down the hill through the sweepers of 11 and 12 that you can see on your screens at the moment. The red banner on the top of the number 24 signifying that is Alonde in that car, leading the championship in EuroNASCAR Pro, as he's followed around the circuit there. Setting some sector times already for us, but just trying to get some heat into the tyres, just get them into their optimal range on this outlap before he'll get pushing when he comes across the line very shortly, making his way now through 16 and 17, now 18 and 19, coming up towards the last couple of corners. This is where the driver on pole position will be given control of the field when we get to the races later on today. And then the double right-hander of turn 20 and turn 21. The exit of which Alonde is making his way out of now, and down the main straight, flat out, as he starts his first qualifying lap. We will see what sort of lap time the drivers will be able to set. Through turns 1 and 2 now, expect plenty of carnage here, as the drivers all try and funnel their way through the first couple of corners for the first time at the start of each of the races. Short of drama, absolutely not last time out at Most, especially when it did start to rain last year, and that caused a whole bunch of drama, as the drivers will make their way through this really tricky part of the circuit, and then turn 9 at the very end of this first sector. Just so difficult to get it right, because you're in the braking zone almost for turn 10 as well. You've got to get the car slowed down, because you've almost got to turn completely back on yourself through the right-hander. Down the hill into the braking zone for turn 13. Pretty big curbs on the inside as well, so the drivers have to watch out for that, the big orange sausages. As we follow Alonde around the circuit now through the long left-hander of 16, staying nice and tight to the left-hand side of the circuit, getting back on the brakes again and back on the power now out of turn 17. Getting past Liam Hazeman's there. Hazeman's on his outlap. And now here into the heavy braking zone. This can be an overtaking opportunity in towards turn 20. Pit entry there in the background of the shot, and then around the final corner it comes Alonde. He'll come across the line. We'll see what the first lap time of the first qualifying session will be across the line, and there's a 1 minute 41.482 for Alon Day. We'll see what the other drivers can do. Alexander Graf crosses the line at 143.8. Currently good enough for second position. There is the 47 of Colavita, doing a 144.79 for there. Currently good enough for sixth position. Gianmarco Ercoli crosses the line in the number 54 machine. Cannot miss it. It's bright pink on the circuit. Just 1.6 seconds off the fastest time set by Alon Day. Alon Day very quick around this circuit. Fastest in free practice yesterday. Taking the win in one of the races last year as well here at Autodrom Most. Had troubles in 2019 in the races. Didn't finish inside the top 20 there. But a very quick driver out on the circuit. Of course, three-time champion in the series as well. 3 race wins this season. And leading the championship by 12 points. Looking to try and get pole position as it stands now as well. But still plenty of time for drivers to get more laps in. And you'd expect to see those times start to tumble as the drivers get back into the groove of things. So current pole position time is a 1 minute 41.482. Then it is Gianmarco Ercoli in second position. As I say that, Alon Day's crossed the line and gone almost a second quicker with a 1 minute 40.476. Alexander Graf moves up into second place now. And here comes Ercoli across the line. And what time is it going to be for Ercoli? It is a 1 minute 41.9. So improves, but not quite enough. Nicola Rocket steals that second position in the 56. 7/10 off of Alon Day still with a 141.2. But those times definitely starting to fall as the drivers are now on to their third flying laps. But usually we'll see the drivers take a cool-off lap in the middle of the qualifying session. You can see the number 16 here. That's Claudio Capelli. 13th at the moment for the driver of the bright yellow number 16. As Martin de Beek, home driver, up into second position now in qualifying with a 141.178. Still just over 7/10 of a second behind Alon, who is out in first position. Remember, the top drivers from this session going to Super Pole, a 5-minute last attempt at qualifying for them, to find out who will get pole position for today's race number 1 in EuroNASCAR Pro. And we'll see the drivers coming across the line for their third laps now. Alon Day across the line, improves once again, 1 minute 40.066. Sebastian Bleekemolen actually up into second position, has just been pipped to that second position by Nicola Rocca. Now just half a second behind Alon Day, but Day still holding that advantage for now with a 140 flat. Cross line is the number 7 of de Beek. What lap time is he going to be able to do? It is just good enough for third position. 7/10 of a second back from Alon Day again with a 140.8. But now the top 4 drivers into that 1 minute 40 margin. As we look a little bit further down the timing tower, we'll see Liam Hazeman's in 10th position. So seemingly that car has been fixed quite successfully by the team after his off yesterday in free practice. Giorgio Maggi, race winner here at Most in the EuroNASCAR 2 category a couple of years ago, in 9th position in that number 18 machine. As here comes Sebastian Bleekemolen across the line. Improves ever so slightly on that last lap. But not enough to make up any extra positions. Just over 5 minutes left of this first qualifying session then. As we see there for a second. Some of the drivers making their way through that really tight and twisty first sector. In towards turn 10 now. Goes the 94 machine, Jan Zimmer, returning to the championship after 8 years. Former race winner in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, of course. Went over to the States to some late model racing there, but it's back for this round in Autodrom Most. Driving in that number 94 machine, the Swiss driver there. Following Davide Dallara in the... Not Davide Dallara, sorry. It's Sebastian Bleekemolen in the 69 that we were following for a second there. Mark Goosens in the number 14. So that time staying stagnant for now. The drivers just take a cool off lap here in the middle of qualifying. They'll have another couple of attempts in anger. You would expect this time by. In towards turn 1, Liam Hazemans. Followed by the number 64, that's Alexander Graf. Of course, right up there in championship contention in the number 64 there. One race victory to his name this season so far. Currently sitting down in 8th position in qualifying, but definitely on a quick lap this one. Down the hill through turns 11 and 12, and now through turn 13. Very quick, you can carry a lot of speed through that corner, the drivers. But not a whole lot in terms of runoff on the exit, so definitely takes some bravery to get around this circuit at speed. Number 18, Giorgio Maggi, in 10th position at the moment. Making his way through turn 10 now as well. A little bit of drafting here between a couple of drivers out there. That's the 25 and 23, it seems. Nicola Gavossi and Henry Tuomola making their way through towards turn number 1 now. There's quite a few of the drivers down into the pit lane already, especially up near the front of the at the top of the timing tower as well, preparing themselves for Super Pole. Tuomola around turn number 10 now. 14th position for Tuomola at the moment. Using all of the painted tarmac on the exit there, getting all over the curbs as well. Keeping the car going in a straight line though. Definitely pushing extremely hard around turn 16 now. Compromise on the apex speed of turn 16 to get the exit out of 17. You'll carry that speed all the way here through turns 18 and 19. Down in towards turn 20 at the end of the lap. Just over a minute left for drivers to be making their lap times. 16 across the line. Capelli in 15th position to start a flying lap. That last one definitely a cool down lap through turns 1 and 2. Drivers using all of the circuit on the exit. Just missing the grass on the outside. Through turns 5, 6 and 7 now. Carrying the speed through 8 and 9 in towards turn number 10. A little bit of traffic in front of the 16 now as well. Getting out of the way. That's the number 2 car of Federico Monti. As the clock ticks down. Last chance for drivers to start their final flying laps. This will be the last chance for the number 16 to try and make his way up into the top 10. Currently needs to find about 7/10 of a second to make it. Coming around the final couple of corners now is Capelli. Here are drivers that have started flying laps. And this will be their last attempt. The 48, that's Yevgen Sokolovsky, the Ukrainian driver, making his way now through turn number 10. In 24th position at the moment. Fastest lap of a 1:43.557. Set that on the last attempt as well. So still getting quicker at the end of this first qualifying session for EuroNASCAR Pro. For Capelli, his last lap was a bit quicker, but only enough to gain a single position up into 15th position for Capelli. Still about 6/10 of a second short of that top 10. Final couple of corners now for these drivers making their way through. Sokolovsky in front, just behind that. Both drivers on quick laps here. We'll see across the line. Sokolovsky crosses the line now. Misses out on a fastest lap just by 3/10 of a second. Doesn't quite get the advantage that he would have hoped for. As the last couple of drivers crossing the line, that does seem like the end of the first qualifying session. Then we will see the top 10 drivers out in Superpole for a 5-minute session in just a few moments' time. But there on the left corner of the screen, top 20 drivers in qualifying for EuroNASCAR Pro for their race a little bit later on today. That top 10 order can still change though. Sokolovsky in the number 48. Doing double duty. No Melvin de Groot this round. Taking a drop round. Leading the Legends Trophy. But the drivers do have that ability, because of the rule where only the top 8 results from the championship will count from the first 10 before that season finale a bit later on this year. So choosing to take that drop round now. And so Yevgen Sokolovsky gets double duty in the number 48, driving in both EuroNASCAR 2 and EuroNASCAR Pro. So won't be out in the Superpole, but will be out a little bit later on in EuroNASCAR 2's qualifying session. As we wait for the drivers to all get back down into the pit lane, and then we'll send out the top 10 for Superpole. be a 5-minute qualifying shootout for the drivers. Not a whole lot of time, especially as we saw the lap times tumbling lap after lap. Up at the front. First place though, and quite convincingly by over half a second for Alonde in the number 24, leading the championship, looking to get started for the second half of the season with a bang. Had some close competition though. Gianmarco Ercole, Nicola Rocca, saw Alexander Graf up there as well, not too far behind. Martin de Beek doing a great job in the first qualifying session at his home circuit as well. Definitely one of the fan favourites out there with the fans. Fans back, of course, in 2022. Had limited numbers of them last season. And, of course, no race at Most in 2020, unfortunately. But the fans back in numbers. Here to cheer on, mostly, Martin de Beek. Plenty for the fans to get up to in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series paddock and fan zones. Giorgio Maggi, I think, just about sneaking through that top 10 position. Did have braking issues, though, in practice yesterday. Said he was struggling for pace, especially in the first couple of corners. We'll see later on how that affects him in the race, especially at the beginning. Also, the Speedhouse team as well. A couple drivers, a couple cars in that team. The team in general just having some tech issues throughout practice, so it didn't quite get as much out of practice as they would have hoped. But not seeming to do too badly out there in qualifying at all. As we still wait for the 5-minute Super Bowl session to get underway. Drivers just now making their way out onto the circuit. As Alonde, Nicola Rocca, Martin de Beek. In the 24, 56 and 7, we've got Graf in the Super Bowl session as well. Sebastian Bleekemolen also making his way out onto the circuit. Patrick Lemery in the number 5. Race winner in Most in 2001 in the European Le Mans Series, of course. So no surprise to see him up in the top 10 as well. Mark Goossens in the number 14, making his way into Super Pole 2. And they will have just 5 minutes to get around the circle on their out lap and then get back around for another lap. I reckon they'll get 2 qualifying laps, 2 hot laps to set their time. After 2 laps in the first qualifying session, Alonde was leading by just over 0.7 of a second, nearly 8. So he'll be confident heading into Super Pole, that's for sure. Race winner last year, Alon. An interesting fact about Alon is he has now won a race at every active circuit in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series after his win last time out at Vallelunga. Just completed that stat for himself. He's also won at every round so far this season, so we will see if he can repeat that again today. It was a red flag out on the circuit for briefest of periods, but out onto the circuit. The cars will go, green flag in the air. And the field led by Alonde. Out onto the circuit they go. For 5 minutes of Super Pole qualifying to set the grid for the top drivers in EuroNASCAR Pro. We'll see how the top 10 will line up later on today for their 7th round of the championship. Drivers in Super Pole then, as they make their way out onto the circuit. Iannetta, Gabion, Day, Rocker, Dubeck, Graf, Bleekemolen, Lemery, Ercole and Goosens, your drivers out there on the circuit. As coming around towards the final corners now, Alonde will start his first flying lap of Super Pole, expecting it to be a quick one as well. Out he goes then, green flag in the air. And across the start-finish line now, first timing lap of the session for Alonde, in towards turn number 1. Heavy braking zone, 90-degree right into a just more than 90-degree left. Drivers have to navigate that side by side later on at the race start. Down the hill through turn 3 already, and now turn 4. Into the left of 5, sorry, the right of 5. Which does act as a curved braking zone for turns 6 and 7. Makes it ever so tricky. Keep the car going in a straight line through that part of the circuit. Out now down the hill. Gravity helping with the acceleration in towards turn 13. Plenty of speed being carried through that part of the circuit. Through the kink of turn 14 for the left and then the right of 15. Then a couple of sweepers here. Hugging the inside through 16. Firing it out of 17. And now all the way up the hill back to the final couple of corners. Less than 2 minutes remain in the qualifying session. And out of the final corner, Alonde will come. And get that number 24 machine across the line. What is the first lap time of the session going to be? It is a 1:40.1 already. Only a tenth off his fastest time from qualifying 1. Nicola Rocca takes that second spot, 4/10 of a second behind. Martin de Beck currently occupying 3rd. Still waiting for some of the other drivers to set lap times. Ercole, 1.6 seconds off for the 1:41.7, so we'll have to go around again. And Gabion with a 1:42.4 there as well. Occupying 10th position. So top 3 then, Alonde, Nicola Rocca and Martin de Beck. Home driver, of course, in the number 7. 5/10 of a second off of provisional pole position. 40 seconds left on the clock. They will not make it round again before the clock reaches 0. As one of the drivers in front, was it Nicola Rocca? Just ahead of de Beck, getting a bit into the gravel there, into the grass, kicking up a whole bunch of dirt there. Not going to do anything to help the lap times at all. And off into the dirt again is somebody. I think it actually might have been out in front of these two drivers. It might have been Alonde that's gone off there. So we'll see now. This could be an opportunity for Rocca and de Beck to get those faster lap times out. Through the final couple of corners now they go. Clock reaches 0. Super Pole is over. Alonde crosses the line. What is that lap time going to be? 1:40.5, 1:40.7 for Nicola Rocca, and Martin de Beck is going to take second position with a 140.566. Not quite fast enough to get pole off of Alonde, but enough to get onto the front row of the grid. A couple of drivers still have to set their lap times, of course, but it's looking good for the home driver, as all the drivers have now set their lap times. That is the end of Superpole qualifying, and on pole position for the race later on today, it will be championship leader Alonde in the number 24 machine, and Martin de Beck gets onto the front row at his home race. Just 200th of a second separating de Beck and Rocca there after Superpole qualifying. Rocca settling for third position, will get the inside line for row number 2. He'll line up alongside Sebastian Bleekmolen in the number 69 machine. Row 3 will be Alexander Graf and Mark Goossens. So they'll make their way down now into the pit lane as well, and I'm sure a very happy Alonde will be delighted to have a chat with Andre down in the pit lane afterwards. But they'll get out of their cars, and drivers in EuroNASCAR 2 will hop in for their 20-minute session. Just a straight 20 minutes for the drivers in EuroNASCAR 2. One thing to note as well is the drivers only get one set of tyres for all of qualifying and the races as well. So that is why you'll see the drivers not do any more laps than is necessary. You see the drivers right up at the front like Alonde, Martin de Beck and co. They didn't stay out much longer after setting a couple lap times in qualifying session number 1 because they want to save the life of their tyres as much as possible. You'll see that through the races as well. The drivers not want to be pushing quite as hard as they could, try and save some tyre life for later on in the race, and of course if they're in race number 1, save some tyres for the next day as well. As they make their way into the pit lane now. Your top 10 in total for the Superpole here at Most. Alonde in pole position, Martin de Beck in second, Nicola Rocca in third, Sebastian Bleekmolen, Alexander Graf, Mark Goossens rounding out your top 6. Then it was Gianmarco Ercole, not able to put in a very quick lap time there in the Superpole session. Then Gabion in 8th, ENS in 9th, and Lemarie in 10th position. Up next, of course, will be EuroNASCAR qualifying for the second division, where we'll see all the same cars, but mostly different drivers. A couple of drivers have a second opportunity in the cars. One of which, of course, being Martin de Beck. So after qualifying for the front row of EuroNASCAR Pro, he is now going out there for EuroNASCAR 2. And I'm sure the drivers in EuroNASCAR 2 looking on, wondering if they're going to be able to beat that lap time. A very solid lap time of a 1 minute 40.5 being set by Martin de Beck there in the end. And EuroNASCAR 2 session set to begin in about 5 minutes time then. Whilst we wait for that qualifying session to begin, we can perhaps have a look at what's happened previously this season in EuroNASCAR 2. We had a look at what happened earlier on in EuroNASCAR Pro. But in EuroNASCAR 2, plenty of action here as well. just because the drivers are supposedly amateurs in the series, rookies in the series, doesn't mean that the action is any less intense, and plenty of drama, especially last time out for round number 6 at Vallelunga as well. With fan favourite Alberto Nasca in the number 88 machine. Not faring too badly so far this season. And is the championship leader heading into the second half of the season as well. Couple of race wins for the driver of the 88. And taking a race victory in front of his home crowd at Vallelunga last time out as well.
So, how was the car?
Incredible. I like the track and I like everything. It was beautiful.
Hello guys, hello fans, I'm Alina Leubnecker. I'm driving with the team Racing Fuel Motorsport in the car number 94. And this weekend we are here in Autodrom Most. This year is a special year again because the fans come back and expect a grateful race weekend here in Most. And we will give our best. Most is really tricky because it's a high-speed track, it's really fast, and I think it's a good track to learning, and you have to be focused and also be brave. So yeah, I think this is a special thing in Most, the high speed. Turn 1 is tricky because you come with a lot of speed, you come with the 4th gear and you have to shift in the 2nd gear, so you come really fast from the finish line. The best corner to overtake is turn 2 and 3. There goes down and you have more space. In the last lap of the race, if you are fighting, you can good overtake in the last corners, 19, 20 and 21 at the track. You have a really high speed curves and you have much space to overtake and you can push. Most is 4.2 kilometers long and you have a really good view around and it's really nice here. Ja, ich würde mich auf alle Fälle freuen, wenn ganz viele Fans kommen, ihr mich begleitet, supportet auf Social Media und vielleicht schaut auch noch Most vorbei. Let's go!
Great to hear from Alina Leubnecker there out on the circuit yesterday, giving us a little walkthrough of what the circuit entails. And we are now ready to stand by with our pole sitter, Alon Day. He's standing down with Andre.
Yes, and this is what it's all about, the pole award for Alon Day, so congratulations first. Super pole, 5 minutes at that track. You had clean air, you were the first out there. Was that helpful?
Yeah, of course it was helpful. Especially in track like this, when you have such a fast corners, you don't want to hit traffic and slower cars. But it's not about that. I think it's about the PK Car Sport. They did an amazing job. All the guys working really hard. Also in the off season, even I got married, but still I didn't go to a honeymoon. I was working my ass off to come here and be on my best. And hopefully we'll keep the same performance also in the race, and hopefully we'll be able to be here and post-victory interview, but we will see later. It's going to be hard for sure.
We saw you were on the limit. You were chasing that 1:39 lap time. We saw dust coming up. What happened there?
Yeah, the Super Pole is only 5 minutes, so it means you have only 2 laps to really set a good lap time. The first lap, I was taking a bit careful. The second lap, I said I will go for it. I made a small mistake, went wide, but again, I said I will send it. Doesn't matter what, I will keep flat out, and yeah, it was flat out into the sand. So fortunately, nothing happened. The car is good, and we were still able to keep the first place. And
Yeah, but the 39 is there, maybe next year.
Thank you so much, congratulations, and have fun later.
Thank you very much, thank you.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye out on the lap times during the racing later on today. Cars out on track again then. EuroNASCAR 2 is 20-minute qualifying session. Just a single session in EuroNASCAR 2, no Super Bowl for them, as they make their way out onto the circuit. Now, just on their out laps at the moment, but we will get them started off and see how the lap times will compare. There is championship leader EuroNASCAR in the number 88 machine. Very popular amongst the fans. He's closely followed by Martin de Beck just behind, of course, sticking it on the front row in EuroNASCAR Pro. So already has a very good point of reference for what he can aim for here in this session as well. Identical cars, absolutely nothing has changed between the two sessions, just the driver in the car. Around the final corner, EuroNASCAR will go. And the Italian makes his way onto start-finish straight. He will start his first flying lap of the session. Three race victories so far for EuroNASCAR. Much like Alon Day, one in each of the circuits that we have visited so far. First time racing at Autodrom Must, I believe, as well. And a little bit wide there, out of turn number 2, kicking up a bit of dust, getting onto the gravel ever so slightly. Not going to be the quickest lap time he'll be able to set of the session, but definitely will be good for a banker. And first 5 rounds of the championship, never finishing below second place, but then drama in that 6th round of the championship. Contact with the driver right behind him. With Liam Hasemans ending up winning that race, his second win of the season. Taking a win in overtime at Brands Hatch for round number 4 as well for his first victory of the campaign. Through the last couple of corners they go then on their first laps, and we will begin to see those times up on the timing screen. Across the line for the number 88, EuroNASCAR. So 142.8, of course, first lap on the tyres, so they're not going to be quite in their optimal range. Good enough for third position at the moment. Liam Hasemans setting a 142.1. Good enough for top spots on the timing tower at the moment. Martin de Beck just 0.04 of a second behind. As it appears we do have a couple of drivers with issues and still in the pit lane. The number 5, and his luck just keeps getting worse, it seems, for Vladimiros Stiotzis. 5 out of 6 pole positions for Vladimiros, but third in the championship, not having the best of seasons once it gets into the races. And in qualifying already, that number 5 was down in the pit lane. I believe has got out onto the circuit now, but not the best start to his qualifying session. Whether that's an issue or just something the team wanted to check, we'll have to wait and find out. But not getting the full 20 minutes out on the circuit for Vladimiros. We'll wait to see what his first lap time will be in that number 5. And Alina, who we saw on the VT a little bit early on, talking about this fantastic circuit here in the Czech Republic. Also having a couple of issues, it seems, and not out onto the circuit yet. Has just rejoined the circuit for the first time, actually, in qualifying And Tsiotsis still not able to set a lap time out on his first flying lap at the moment. And sector time's not looking too bad. We're not quite up there. As Alberto Nasca across the line, 3 or maybe 4/10 of a second really, up at the top of the timing screen as well. So gets a good lap in, had a couple of errors on the first one, but now has got a good lap together. Martin de Beek in a lot of traffic, and that's something the drivers are going to have to work out. 4.2 kilometers, just over 20 cars on the circuit. They've got to try and figure out some clear air, and unfortunately, de Beek has been held up quite a bit on this lap he's currently on. See if he can get a front row in both EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2 for later on today. There's number 29 machine. Elia College in that one. Bright yellow 27 machine out there as well. Patrick Schober in EuroNASCAR 2. It's a quick first sector and second sector, really, for Martin de Beek, who is actually on purple sectors on this lap, as he will come across the line fairly shortly, and we will see right up there, pole position by 3.5 of a second. The number 7 getting a good lap in, 1 minute 40.9, still about 4/10 off his fastest time from Superpole. So still definitely time out there on the circuit that can be gained. Alberto Nasca improving on the last lap, but not quite enough to regain that pole position. Hazeman's also improving, but still about 1/10 off of Nasca in second place. Hazeman's now occupying third. As we take a look at the number 3 machine, that's Ulysse Delceau. Into what is effectively a bus stop chicane, really, of 6, 7, 8, and 9. Fired straight into turn 10. You can see the long lap penalty for bike racing on the outside of that corner. Looking at the sector times out there as it stands now, Alberto Nasca gets onto the top of the timing screens by 0.06 of a second, and that's down to 0.04 of a second now. De Beek goes faster, but not quick enough to take that top spot away. Liam Hazeman's now also within 1/10 of a second of Nasca. So now the top 3 drivers separated by just 0.07 of a second. As we reach about halfway through this qualifying session now, into the 1 minute 40s. As car off, there's the number 54 in the background as well. Has there been some contact made here? No visible damage to either of the cars, so it could have just been an avoidance of a spin. But Del Castello, 18th position at the moment in the number 54. She is, of course, sharing the car with Gianmarco Ercoli. And into the pit lane she will go, as Tsiotsis has snuck up onto the top step of the timing screen there with a 1 minute 40.907. We've now got 4 cars at the top separated by less than 1/10 of a second. So it really is game on here as Tsiotsis makes his way through turn 10 now in the number 5. So clearly no issues with the number 5 in qualifying. Can he make it 6 out of 7 pole positions so far in 2022. De Beck has something to say about it. 1 minute 40.7. Finally putting a bit of distance between himself and the rest of the field. 1.5 tenths of a second above Tsiortzis now. Alberto NASCAR into the pit lane in the number 88. Around the final corner for Del So across the line. Just 2 tenths off of the personal best for the number 3. 8.5 minutes left to go then in this EuroNASCAR 2 qualifying session. Homeboy Martin De Beck out on top by about 1.5 tenths of a second there. King of qualifying, Vladimir Tsiortzis, in second place as it stands now. Last lap time, just a little bit slower than the lap times he's set in the past. First sector times not looking too bad at all. Martin De Beck on an out lap at the moment. He'll be starting his next quick lap next time by. We might just head down into the pit lane. As Alberto NASCAR out of the pit lane now and back out onto the circuit after about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes spent in total in the pit lane. Has 1.69 seconds to make up if he wants to start this race on pole position. And has 7 minutes to find it. Tsiortzis still out there on the circuit, trying to find lap time. Still running about a couple tenths of a second off each lap as he comes across the line, so just struggling to find that extra last couple of tenths of a second. As NASCAR now onto his first flying lap after being out in the pit lane for a bit. We'll see what the Italian can do. Championship leader in the number 88. Third place as it stands. 6 minutes left in qualifying for EuroNASCAR 2. Fastest sectors. Currently the fastest first sector being set, I believe, by Capelli in the number 18. 6th position for Capelli. Very good through the first sector, slightly off through the second and third. Second sector fastest by Martin De Beck. Third sector by Alberto NASCAR. That's where he's been finding most of his time. And through that third and final sector he's going at the moment. As we take a look at Geoffroy in the number 33. Currently in 13th position across the line for Paul Geoffroy. To start a flying lap, it seems, coming out of the pit lane. NASCAR across the line with a 141.4, so about half a second off his personal best. First lap out on colder tyres. Tyres usually starting to work better and better for about 4 laps before they start to slow down once again, overheat, wear down. NASCAR now making his way through the second half of the circuit, down the hill through 11 and 12. Carrying all the speed through turn 13, going through a cloud of dust, so driver in front must have gone slightly wide. Just kicking up a bit of the dirt from the gravel chaps on the outside. Martin de Beck out onto the circuit now as well. Stjortis has made his way into the pit lane. It only has a minute and a half maybe to get back out onto the circuit if he does want to set another lap time in this session. NASCAR around the final couple of corners now. Car just in front. Now of the final corner, he comes across the line. Is it going to be quick? One minute 40.963, so 0.04 of a second off of his personal best. It's not going to improve his lap time. He has to settle for third position as it stands at the moment. Gil Linster has just set a new personal best as well, up in the 6th position for Gil. And de Beck back into the pit lane. So not finding it necessary to make his way back out onto the circuit, whether or not that's because of an issue or because he just doesn't think he needs to set any quicker of a lap time. We will wait to find out. NASCAR still out on the circuit with time for another 2 laps to be set. But a less than optimal second sector for NASCAR, about a second slower than de Beck's, and this will not be a quick lap for NASCAR. He'll have to try and regain, and it'll be his final attempt if he does come across the line to make a stop. Stjortis is back out onto the circuit now as well, it seems. Is it maybe a little bit too late for Stjortis to get back around in time to set a lap? NASCAR taking it really slow through the last sector. Letting a couple cars through that were on hot laps. And he does start one final attempt at qualifying on pole position in EuroNASCAR 2. As it stands now, Martin de Beck is up there with a 1 minute 40.752. And he's out of the car as well, so definitely will not be setting any more lap times. Number 5 of Stjortis in 2nd position. You can see him on screen there, driving slowly, making his way through that part of the circuit. I think had to abort that lap and won't have time to get back around in time. Sector 1 time by Alberto Nasca, 25.880. That is not too bad, about a 10th slower than the fastest Sector 1 time, set by Capelli in the number 18 machine as the clock ticks down towards 0. Sector 2 lap time, 34.9 for Alberto Nasca. Still looking slightly off of his personal best at the moment, making his way through the final few corners now. Just the lefts of 18 and 19, and now down into the braking zone. The heavy braking zone for turn number 20. A car just in front. Get out of the way, or doesn't get out of the way actually, on a hot lap as well. So NASCAR potentially being held up ever so slightly here, has to back out of the final corner, and that's not going to be a quick lap for NASCAR, I don't think. He's almost pushing him down across the line and does have to back out eventually. Across the line NASCAR goes. That's a 1 minute 42.3, which means that unless anybody else pulls something incredible out of the bag, it is going to be Martin de Beck on the front row of the grid once again. 2nd place in EuroNASCAR Pro, but gets pole position at his home race in EuroNASCAR 2 with a 1 minute 40.7. 2/10 slower than his EuroNASCAR Pro time, but it doesn't matter because it's good enough for pole position here in EuroNASCAR 2. He will start both races today on the front row of the grid, joined by Alonde in EuroNASCAR Pro and Vladimiros Tsiotsis once again on the front row of the grid, but can't quite make it 6 pole positions this season. Alberto NASCAR Championship leader has to settle for 3rd position. A little bit of a misunderstanding there between the drivers out on their in-laps there. Almost a bit of contact made up. Alberto having to get onto the grass almost. As, a car is pulled off. Was that Vladimiros Tsiotsis? In the number 5. A car is pulled off there at what looks like the exit of turn 13, entry of turn 14. As, NASCAR off onto the grass again on the way into the pit lane here. So trouble out on the circuit for a couple of drivers, it seems. Definitely a car off the circuit on the exit of turn 13. As the drivers will make their way back into the pit lane for the end of qualifying. And we start to look forward to the first racing action of the weekend in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Confirmation that it is Vladimiros Tsiotsis that is stopped there. So despite getting on the front row of the grid, troubles still for that number 5 machine. Luckily, it has come after the checkered flag, but is stopped out on the circuit. So whether there's an issue with the car, maybe that's what they were looking at before he ended up going on the circuit. About 5 minutes late, of course, in the qualifying session. So lost out on a good chunk of running, still ending up on the front row of the grid for later on. But seemingly troubles for the number 5 machine, and Patrick Lemery has to get into that machine for the EuroNASCAR Pro race in a bit, so he'll be looking on and hoping that there's nothing too serious going on with the car, because it's not too long until we can get started for some racing action. So we will try to find out what's happened to the number 5 machine, but still out on the circuit, it is stopped. And the drivers now making their way out of the cars in the pit lane. The teams will get back those machines and start preparing them for the 75-kilometer EuroNASCAR Pro race in just a couple of hours' time. But your qualifying results then. Martin Dubeck on pole position for EuroNASCAR Pro, EuroNASCAR 2, sorry. He'll line up alongside Vladimiros Tsiotsis, Alberto NASCAR, and Liam Hazemans on your second row of the grid. Tuomas Pontonen finishing second earlier on in a race in Vallelunga earlier on in the season. In the number 23 machine, will start 5th position alongside Gil Linster. Capelli starts in 7th alongside Malkarek. And then Delso and Geoffroy in 9th and 10th. Looking a little bit further down the order as well, Leonardo Colavita in the 47 will start in 11th position. Koloch in 12th. Just behind them, Schober and Bleekemolen in 13th and 14th. Then Sokolovsky doing double duty, of course, in the number 48. Will start 15th on the grid in EuroNASCAR 2. Benedetti in 16th. Del Castello in 17th. Gomez in 18th. Vingelis in 19th. And Leubneger eventually getting onto the circuit set a lap time good enough for 20th. Well, down in the pit lane with our pole sitter for EuroNASCAR 2 is a double front row start, and it's Andre down in the pit lane.
Thank you so much, Dane. Yes, I'm here with Martin Dubek. First of all, that is what it's all about, the Pole Award. So, the local hero at your local track, how do you feel?
Really nice. We finally did it. We did. It was really close now in EuroNASCAR 2, but finally we did it. So I will start from first position now in EuroNASCAR Pro from first row. So I'm really happy, and I hope that I will show a really nice show for our fans and for Czech spectators here.
On the out lap or the in lap, have you the time to take a look at the grandstands and all around the hills here at the track? There are so many people watching you racing.
Yeah, now I can see that here is a lot of people, but during the quali I didn't see. It's not possible, but I hope that will come much people, a lot of people. It should be nice, and I hope that we will show nice show for them.
Right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Bye.
Great to hear from our pole sitter Martin Dubek at his home race, of course. And we'll start on the front row of the grid in not only EuroNASCAR 2, but also the first race of today, EuroNASCAR Pro. Let's take a look at our streaming schedule for this weekend as we see when we will be back for that first race of the weekend. It will be EuroNASCAR Pro, a 75-kilometer race that will be starting at about 1:20 local time. That's Central European summertime. And we will be back for that in just a bit. Thank you very much for watching qualifying. We'll be back from Autodrom Most in just a bit.